Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Washington. I'm Robert Tadero, and I'm chair of the D.C. Board. On behalf of the D.C. Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, Manager Cliff Cooks, where is Cliff? There we go. Staff member Jason Sockwell, if you guys can stand. My fellow board members, Joseph Drew, I don't know if there he is in the back, Abdul Akron, and Muhammad Yusuf, I welcome you to your nation's capital. I also want to encourage you to explore our neighborhoods, museums, monuments, and restaurants. Yes, most of the museums are free. The restaurants are fantastic, but they're not free. If you find one, let me know. I also want to thank NASBA for selecting our city for the conference and all the support and assistance that you've provided us through the year. We have a very special guest speaker today that I have the honor of introducing. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome the Mayor of Washington, D.C., the Honorable Vincent C. Gray.
Thank you very much, Robert, for such a nice introduction, and good morning, everyone. Everybody awake? You know, it was great to be able to sit there and watch that video. I don't know if you noticed in the very beginning there was a baseball game that was actually being portrayed. It was in the first 30 seconds, I guess, and there was a first baseman in that film clip, and that was actually me. I still play baseball. I was a baseball player for many years, and still play, not at the level of the Washington Nationals, which didn't quite get as far as we thought they were going to get this year, but they did pretty well. And what you saw in that film, in that video, was a brief portrayal of our city. I want to take the opportunity to welcome the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy to the District of Columbia. We're delighted to have you all. This is your 107th meeting, I guess. Would anybody who was at that original meeting, 107 years, would you please stand and be recognized? We'd love to be able to make sure your tenure is recognized as a part of the NASBA. You have come to an exciting city, and it was great to be able to see some of that portrayed in the video. It's a city that is on the grow. We I guess now, decade or more ago, the city was really at the point where it was dipping below 500,000 people, and we have grown tremendously. We are growing at the rate of 1,000 to 1,200 people a month, and we now have a population, ladies and gentlemen, of just about 660,000 people here in the District of Columbia, and that's the largest population that we've had since the 1970s. We also worked hard on our education efforts. Our public education programs are, I won't say they're second to none, because there's some that are still better than us, but we really are rapidly moving to the top. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we are especially proud of is our early childhood education program in the city. We now have 80% of our three-year-olds who go to school all day, every day. And we have 94% of our four-year-olds that go to school all day, every day. And we know that that is going to make a difference in educational outcomes for our children, certainly in this city. As a matter of fact, when the three-year-olds come in, we try to make sure we know which ones want to become accountants in the future and make sure we steer them in the right direction in terms of their educational pursuits. I want to also acknowledge the folks who are here from D.C. Today, and I want to thank you for your great work, especially our folks at DCRA that do such a great job in helping to bring this city to where it is today. You will find this to be a safe city. We now have over 4,000 police officers, not that we need them all. We have 30 law enforcement agencies in the District of Columbia that work effectively together every day to make sure that this continues to be a safe city. and economic development is taking place everywhere. On any given day, you will see anywhere from 50 to 65 cranes that are at work in the city. And I heard mention of the museum. The museum is a fantastic place. It is about 7 blocks from here. You are at 13th, 14th, and Pennsylvania Avenue. The museum is at 6th and Pennsylvania Avenue. And I would invite you to go there because it is really a wonderful demonstration, I think, of what it means to be observant of the First Amendment rights here in the nation's capital. And we also are delighted to be able to say that our unemployment rate has come down tremendously. When I came into office, we had an unemployment rate of 11.3%. We are down now to 7.5%, which means increasingly large numbers of people are getting and keeping jobs, especially as professionals here in the city. But one of the things that has been most important to us is to pay attention to the same things that you pay attention to, and that is the numbers, and that is looking at our bond ratings. A year ago, we were upgraded by Moody's rating agency, to what is tantamount to AA. And just a month ago, just about 4 to 6 weeks ago, we were upgraded by Standard & Poor's as well as Fitch to AA also. And that is the highest bond rating that the District of Columbia has ever had in its history. And one of the reasons for that is because we have paid close attention to the numbers. And there are people in this room, and there are people, I'm sure what you do where you are from, is helping the government pay attention to its numbers. We have the largest fund balance now in the history of the District of Columbia. We have a fund balance of $1.75 billion. And that, of course, is a powerful statement for us to be able to make in terms of the solidity, the grounding, if you will, of the nation's capital. So we're delighted to be able to talk about that. We'll talk about it to anybody that will listen. And again, that's the highest rating level that we've had in the history of the District of Columbia. One of the things that's not so exciting for us is, and I don't know how many of you are aware of it, is the continuing requirement of the District of Columbia to have our budget approved by the Congress of the United States. Now, not to be cynical, but that is not exactly the group that I would go to look for fiscal accountability and fiscal responsibility. As a matter of fact, not again to be flippant, but we think that there's some things that we could show them. But those who don't know, our budget goes through the development by the mayor, the approval by the city council, the signing by the mayor, but then everywhere else that would stop. It would be over. Your budget would be approved. If the governor approves the budget, and signs it, it then becomes effective. Not the case here in the District of Columbia. Our budget then has to go to the Congress of the United States for approval. And what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, is we are having to ask people for permission to be able to spend our own money. And that is not right, ladies and gentlemen. I ask you all, as you go back to where it is that you're from, to keep in mind that this is a city that has proven its wherewithal to be able to manage money. And what better group to know that than NASBA, and to continue to work to support the authority being given to the District of Columbia to be able to do the things that we know we've demonstrated the ability to do. We also, interestingly enough, have to send every one of our local laws up to Capitol Hill to be approved. Some of them are so simple you'd have to ask yourself, why in the world would the Congress want to be involved in that? I remember when I was on the council, we had a piece of legislation that did the following. It changed the term handicapped to disabled. Now that's really controversial, isn't it? And we had to send that up to the Congress to be approved, which on the timetable thereon took 9 months. In fact, we've had to create a whole process here called emergency legislation in order to be able to make sure that this city is not paralyzed. Our Congresswoman doesn't have a vote. She's about to be elected to her 13th term. Certainly has as much or more experience as anybody on Capitol Hill. I simply say that to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we deserve the support of the rest of the United States of America to be able to do the things that you are able to do wherever it is that you may live in the other 50 states. I want to invite you also to do one other thing while you're here, and that is our ability to be able to keep our numbers, in the condition that they're in now, depends on our economy. And you heard the mention of the restaurants, you heard the mention of the city, you heard mention of Mount Vernon, which is not in the District of Columbia. I want to invite you to stay in the District of Columbia while you're here. And what I really want you to do is, while you're here, is to spend every nickel that you have in your pocket. Do not let the opportunity go by to go home with anything left. We take cash, we take credit cards, we take checks. Man, we'll even take IOUs, because we know with this group, there's nothing to worry about in terms of us being able to get our money. So again, I want to welcome you all to the city. Over the time that you're here, over the next several days, please enjoy yourselves. I hope you have a very productive meeting, and I hope that you also take the time to get out in the city and see what a fantastic city our nation's capital is. The District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., whatever you want to call it, and maybe the day will come, ladies and gentlemen, when we will be accorded the opportunity to be the 51st state of the United States of America. So I want to thank you all very much. I think we're going to do some awards at this stage. So how are we going to do those, Robert?
If you want to read it off, I can.
All right.
We can bring up the.
First of all, these are folks who have served the Board of Accountancy here in the District of Columbia. Our first awardee is Michael Cobb. He gets the Leadership Award in recognition of his visionary guidance, outstanding leadership, and dedicated service to the citizens of the District of Columbia. As past chairperson of the Board of Accountancy, which we know involves a great deal of work, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? How about a big hand for Michael? Our second awardee is Antonia Browning Smiley. This is a special recognition award which is being presented to Antonia in acknowledgement and appreciation of long-standing commitment and outstanding achievements in the accountancy industry, and most notably her commitment to the people of the District of Columbia. And our third award goes to Clarence Magwood. It also is a special recognition award in recognition, acknowledgement, appreciation of his long-standing commitment and outstanding achievements in the accountancy industry, and most notably, his commitment to the citizens, the residents, the people of the District of Columbia. How about a big hand for all three of them for their service to the industry of accounting? And thank you guys for being such great professionals and being so committed to our great city. Thank you very much.
Did you want to say a few words? Go ahead.
Robert, you would like them to get a particular place after they finish speaking so they can have pictures made?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be brief. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for my award, and also thank you for all of your service. As a native Washingtonian, I've seen you in action for a number of years, so thank you for everything. And also, as a native Washingtonian, I'll say that Marion Barry appointed me to the DC board, and I've been through a number of boards, a number of mayors. I would say that my first involvement with NASBA was approximately 12, 13 years ago. Lorraine called me and asked why wasn't the District of Columbia involved at all with NASBA. And I said, well, as a new member to the DC Board of Accountancy, and as a new chair, I became chair after about 3 months on the board. Nobody had asked. I hadn't heard of NASBA. Nobody had asked. So she called, asked. I went down to Atlanta to a regional meeting, and have been involved ever since. Been involved for the last dozen years, along with Tony, Smiley, and Robert. Clarence rather, Magwood. However, my involvement with NASBA and my appreciation with NASBA really grew through a disagreement. We had a little mobility disagreement, and if you can imagine disagreeing with Ken on any subject, it was interesting to say the least. However, I grew to respect Ken. I grew to like him. He sent Michael Daggle down here to talk to us about mobility. We talked to everybody about mobility, but through that process, we grew closer to NASBA, and we've all been more involved with NASBA. So I really am going to miss my involvement with NASBA on a day-to-day basis. I want to congratulate Carlos for his term just passed, and looking forward to Walter and his term coming up. So again, thank you very much for this award, and thank you very much for allowing me to be involved with NASBA. Thank you.
What's that? Well, if you want to get pictures, yeah, Tom will take care of that. All right, congratulations. Yeah, we're good to go. Congratulations to you. Yes, indeed. Robert, Mayor, thank you for those comments. Mayor, as an individual who worked in the public finance world for a period of time, I can assure you, I know what AA means and what it takes for a city to earn that status. You definitely are to be commended for that. And the fact that you have it by all three rating agencies too, that's even better. That's not an easy task to get done. Now that it's my pleasure to introduce to you an exciting speaker, a motivating speaker, Paul Stebbins, who is the former CEO, Chair Emeritus of the World Fuel Services Corporation, still serves on the board. And there's a lot I could read, but just let me share with you how stimulating this guy is. At the meeting of the leadership of the accounting programs of the AACSB, Paul was the 4 o'clock speaker. The reception was at 5 o'clock. And that was a free reception. At 5:10, every academic that was in attendance at that meeting was still in the room. With that, Paul, would you come forward, please? You are in for a treat.
Thank you, sir.
My
Thanks,
pleasure.
Carlos. I
Yes,
sure
indeed.
appreciate it. Great.
Which one of these?
Whatever's good, I'll go over here. That's fine. It's like the presidential debate thing, right, Carlos?
That's right.
Over to you. Why didn't I get Hawaii? Why am I here in D.C.? I mean, I'm just saying, man. Of all the places. Actually, I'm very glad it's in D.C. This is home turf for me. I'm a Georgetown grad, so I spent a lot of time in this great city and worked on the Hill for a while. And it's great to see such a diverse group. So I'm the government major in my family. My wife, she's the accountant. She was the CPA. And I remember her studying for that test that you guys oversee. Man, that was a miserable period of time. I want to thank you for that. But thank God she passed it on the first go-round, because I would not have wanted to sit through that again. But she's watched with great amusement when I did this occasion in San Antonio, and I spoke to an accounting group. It's actually, and I'll say it here too, it's actually really rewarding to speak to accounting groups, because you guys actually know how to count. And when you talk about the national debt, you get into some awfully uncountable stuff. So it's actually comforting to be in that audience. But my wife is very amused that her government major husband, who couldn't even get into business school, is actually speaking to accountants. She thinks this is very funny. So this issue here, a little bit of where I'm from. So Carlos said I'm a retired CEO, but I'm an entrepreneur first and foremost. I founded my company with my partner when I was in my 20s, and coming out of Georgetown with a government degree, that was living proof that I could get a job. That was pretty good back then. But I come to this journey today not so much as a corporate executive. I've had the great privilege, sort of the American dream, to build a company from nothing in New York. And we're now a Fortune 71 company with over 110 offices in some 40 countries around the world. We're doing $40 billion in sales. And that's been an amazing privilege to be part of that journey. But I stepped down a couple of years ago because I had done this amazing life journey. But part of my experience as a corporate executive was informed by my life, which was not only here as a student at Georgetown, but when I was a student at Georgetown, I made my living and got through school by driving trucks at Gallagher's Lumberyard. I was a waiter at the Foundry Restaurant. I took a year off to work in a mine up in just north of Spokane, Washington. I met some great folks. Where are you from Spokane? I met the Spokane team last night. Yeah, Spokane. So I've spent a lot of time out there. So I came to my corporate life with a little bit different background than your typical government major. But one of the things you do as a corporate executive for a company our size is you get involved with the Business Roundtable. And that is a organization that is kind of quiet. They're not so much a lobbyist. This isn't the Chamber of Commerce. But they spend a lot of time coming to Washington. They learn about issues. And one of the issues that came up was the national debt. And there's a guy named Dave Cote who's the chairman of Honeywell, and he actually participated in something called the Simpson-Bowles Commission. Many of you may know that Alan Simpson, former senator from Wyoming, and Erskine Bowles, former chief of staff of the Clinton White House, had been involved with this commission that the president set up on fiscal responsibility. And they came out of that with a lot of conclusions. But I can tell you that most of the business community was not paying attention. And I would say